Hello, hope you're doing well. Dennis here. So today we're going to talk about automated outreach. We're going to talk about how we can use the prospecting agent for a variety of use cases, like for example, of course, capturing net new sales, but also how can we maybe upsell or cross-sell with this agent, or how can we retain customers? For example, if you're in the world of CSMs one to many, you know that managing many customers can become a challenge because you're not able to provide a personalized email that your customers are going to feel that you really created it specifically for them and not a generic sequence. So we're going to talk about how we can use the prospecting agent for all these smart AI sequences that will help you reduce the amount of repetitive work and provide a positive impact in your customers and in your prospects. And then we're also going to talk about these signals specifically through the intent tools that we have in HubSpot, because we can use signals not only to detect interest in sales, but again, also to detect, for example, if a customer mentioned that they're not seeing the value of your product in a ticket or maybe in a meeting, we could trigger a custom signal that's going to let us know that that is churn potential. Or for example, maybe they asked about a new product that you just launched and whoever was talking to them forgot to that may be a positive signal for selling that new product. So we could also create these cross-sell, upsell signals. They're going to automatically trigger in HubSpot and then are going to activate our prospecting agent plays. So let's go into HubSpot and let's review these signals and how they look like. First of all, we're going into the buyer intent tool. We're going to have 3 sets of tools here. Remember that buyer intent is under marketing. And basically here, what we can do is, first of all, we're going to have our visitor signals. This is basically any company that's looking at our services, could be a customer, could be a prospect. So if they look at a pricing page, which is a great example, that's going to trigger a visitor intent signal, first party data. Then we're going to have research intent signals. Basically, HubSpot has access to a lot of data. And what HubSpot has been able to do is that, for example, if Canaflex is looking into other companies that offer marketing services, it's going to let us know this. So we're going to categorize these other websites through keywords. And HubSpot is going to tell you, okay, Canaflex has interest in these services that you're offering. So if you launch a new product with those services, potential cross-sell. If you're selling those services and this is not yet your customer, this is a potential lead, for example. And then we're going to go into the signals. Signals are going to be a bit more complex, where you'll have the ability to use your signals. As you can see now, I have my signals. This is the new beta that I want to talk about. In my signals, for example, I can have signals, for example, that let me know if an email has bounced, maybe they received funding, the company, maybe they're expanding geographically. So all of these are signals that can help us sell, that can help us also prevent churn, because for example, if they're laying off, that means they may be reviewing their software costs or their services costs in the future. So out of these signals, we're going to be able to think of automated sequences, automated actions that can be combined with smart AI sequences to basically be able to prevent or maybe use this data in our favor to cross-sell, upsell, or retain customers. So these are the generic signals that we have. But as you see here, we have to create signal. This create signal will allow us, for example, to create a signal that maybe is looking into our customer conversations, maybe into tickets, or maybe we just want to identify if this company has received a certificate being an eco-friendly company, for example. It's a very, very custom signal that perhaps for your business is key. So you have the ability of creating these signals and then, of course, tracking them. So this is the first part. How do we activate these smart AI sequences to then be able to outreach our customers and prospects, which is going to go with the second agent. We're going to have prospecting agent. And prospecting agent, what we'll have is we're going to have the plays. And these plays also will automatically look into these signals, but I prefer to divide the video into 2 steps. So now in the prospecting agent, here's where we're going to define this outreach. We can have multiple plays. We can use it for onboarding, for upselling, for net new customers, for reactivating stalled leads, for example. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm creating 1 play per use case, so then I can impact my prospects and customers depending on the needs. How do we do this? Well, first of all, we're going to create our play. Let's say this is, for example, my churn prevention agent. So what is it going to do? First of all, I'm going to assign my audience. So do I want the agent to source contacts for me? This would be more for net new. In this case, I do not want this. What are my segments? So here, probably in segments, I want to add the companies that are customers in one to many. If we follow that specific use case that I mentioned, we're going to select the segment here. Then let's say I want to use specific signals. So, okay, if they might churn, what do I want? Okay, so maybe the company has recently lost a client. The company spawned off a new company, competitors identified. Maybe we could look into layoffs. So in this case, as you see, what we're doing is we're getting all these negative signals, but we want to be aware of these signals to proactively engage with our customers so they understand that we're looking after them and we're not forgetting about their problems. So we are realistically looking to provide value to our customers. So once we've set up all these signals, and again, remember that here we could add our custom signals, then we're going to go into what we're going to communicate. So what am I selling here? What does my company sell? What's my value proposition? What pain points do we solve? And what products or services? Perfect. But then we're going to go into outreach. Here in outreach is where I'm going to have the capacity of defining what I want to communicate. We're going to have what we call smart blocks. These smart blocks right here, where we can use general smart blocks, or we can create our custom prompt blocks. So what does this mean? You're going to have a paragraph per prompt. So here I want this paragraph to write an engaging one-line opening. And here I potentially go into talk about the signal. We are aware that you're going through layoffs. How can we help? Would you need to review something from our services? Relevance hook, maybe most of the companies that action with us when you're going through this situation typically end up in a good situation. So what I want you to understand here is that you can use these smart blocks not only for selling, you can use them for a wide variety of options. At the end of the day, they're custom. You can add your custom prompt so that each paragraph contains information about this specific contact and adapt it to your prompt. Most important thing to consider here is that prospecting agent is not going to write a generic sequence. It's going to review the contact's activity before writing this sequence. It's going to review the company's activity in the internet. So it's going to be able to capture all this information, the signals, make a big cocktail with it, and then it's going to create a personalized sequence of emails. Another important part to highlight is that this sequence of emails is not only AI, you're going to be able to collaborate with your agents. So perhaps in my second email, if they haven't replied, for example, I could add a call task because I potentially want to follow up with my customers because maybe they read my email, they're busy, maybe they're stressed about what's happening. So I'm just going to give them a call to be close to them. And of course, if they reply to the email, no call needs to be done because they've already booked a meeting with myself, for example. Then we're going to have a few guardrails. So who is sending the email? Basically, contact owner, if I'm the account manager, for example. What tone? I'm probably going to be using my brand voice. Language? Well, we'll always use multi-language in case if we're managing multiple markets. If not, we just select the language, for example. Multi-language, and then we have our fallback language. And then when am I going to send this email? It's going to be basically adapted to your contact's time zone. But if you don't have that information, which is typically automatically captured from your browser cookies, then you can add here default time zone. And then at the end of the day, we're going to automate. I'll probably go with sending without review if I'm managing too many customers. If I want to start reviewing them and then I want to change, I can do that as well. And that last part is once we have these plays, you can basically enroll the contacts. I still haven't activated it. So we would have the ability of enrolling contacts manually or enrolling companies. If we are looking into a few automations, we can set them up easily through here. And we can even connect the agent with other integrations. For example, if we're looking to capture net new leads, we can use Apollo, ZoomInfo, Surf, or Seamless for when we enroll a company that has no contacts in HubSpot, we're going to obtain them from these services. And of course, in the future, you'll have the ability of reviewing the contacts you're sending communications. You could open them here. Maybe you want to check the email that was sent or what information was researched about this company or this contact. And finally, of course, you need return of investment. So you'll have a clear report that's going to help you understand per play. So how many emails how many contacts are enrolled, how many emails are sent. And of course, your goal is how many meetings am I getting booked, for example. So I hope that this video, which is not what you probably expected with Prospecting Agent, has opened a variety of use cases for you to test, for you to maybe brainstorm internally and maybe think of when do you have these specific signals and you need to offer a personalized approach, but due to volume, perhaps your team is not able to do this. So maybe due to those variables, you can internally brainstorm when, for example, prospecting agents could be useful for other use cases that are not prospecting new leads, which of course is a great use case, but there's a wide variety of other use cases to solve.